Hey, what's up, YouTubers? I was just watching a television show, believe it or not. This show is called Westworld. Now, many of you who've been watching my channel know that I don't watch TV anymore. I don't watch sitcoms or things like that. I stick to YouTube and I stick to channels that teach me things and stuff that I can learn from. But my good friend Heather Thunderhawk highly and strongly recommended that I watch this TV series called Westworld. And so I checked out some previews and it resonated immediately. And I found a way to watch this show. And only this show. So, thank you very much, Heather, for the recommendation. I very much appreciate it. Now, let me tell you an interesting story. I'm watching this show, and I'm about 3 episodes in. I've watched all 4 episodes, okay? That's all there is so far, is 4. I've seen them all. But right before I started the 4th episode, I'm sitting there contemplating what I've already seen. And I'm thinking about coincidences. I'm thinking about random occurrences. The strangest things that happen in our lives. Usually very memorable events. Because they're so odd. They're so strange that they stand out. This is why I have called myself J-Dreamers, because I have a hard time just letting go of my dreams. Many times we will have these coincidences or dreams or odd occurrences happen to us, and it impacts us and it blows our mind, and it's almost unfathomable at first. But then this veil of forgetfulness or reality sets back in, and it slowly starts to suck away that experience, that deep encounter that we had. And we may remember it from time to time, but that feeling, that emotion, that connectedness, that vibration, that resonating feeling that we had whenever that strange occurrence happened, it starts to fade after a while. Well, not with me. No. Those things are so special in my life, I hold on to them tightly. Like when you wake up from an amazing dream and you want to go back to sleep and you're reaching and you're grasping. That's what I do daily in my life. Now, for some of us, we have this feeling when things are very strange, like very odd, like, whoa, that was weird. That was so weird. Those things tend to resonate with us and we remember it. But see, I've started to learn in this trip down the rabbit hole that, one, there are no coincidences. Not one. There are no odds that something may or may not happen. It was... Well, I don't want to get into predestination talk or anything, but the deeper down the rabbit hole I go, the more I realize that everything I experience is a memorable event, and it has meaning to it, and there's reason behind it. It's just some things jolt us more than other things. But let me tell you my interesting story. I'm watching the end of the 3rd show, and I'm thinking about coincidences. I'm thinking about strange events and how things just are placed perfectly right in our path for us to stumble over and to notice. And right then and there, before I started the next episode, something in my subconscious floated up like a bubble to my conscious mind. and I thought I should check my Facebook Messenger. Now, for those of you who have found me on Facebook or Facebook Messenger, please forgive me. I'm sorry. I don't use it. I never check it. I haven't checked Facebook Messenger in so long. And I have reasons for that. But something told me check it. And I couldn't get rid of this feeling. Like I was like, man, I've got to check it. And I went through the process of re-downloading it or uploading it or whatever it's called, and remembering my password and getting through it. And right when it logs on and I go through all the stuff, a voice from the past shows up. My very best friend I've ever had in my life, from elementary school, like the 4th grade, somehow found me on the messenger and had sent me a message a while back asking if it was really me. And my mind, if my mind wasn't already in like deep thought about life, all of a sudden I went even further down the rabbit hole at that point. And I was like, wow, how amazing that right now, when I'm thinking about these things, that particular person would show up and that I would stumble over this particular part in my path. So we chatted, and I'm very happy to be back in touch with my old best friend that I have not seen in 25 years or something. But let me get back to this television show, Westworld. In this show, basically it's set in the distant or not too distant future, where the elite of the world, those who are so rich that they lack nothing in life, they've built for themselves this amusement park or fantasy world where they can go to and they can enter into it and they can forget about the modern world they live in. And they can, it's basically a wild, wild west type of world. It's a theme park, except it's very realistic and it's filled. Well, there's some other people there who are experiencing it, but for the most part, everything there is robotic, but it looks real. There are androids. All the people that you meet are basically advanced robots that look like humans and act like humans. They can do anything a human can do. They're all programmed to provide this experience of the Wild West for the travelers or the newcomers. And I started thinking about Disneyland. Let me tell you why. First of all, I've always been a fan of Disneyland. As a matter of fact, me and my old best friend from forever ago, we went to Disneyland once. And let me tell you about Disneyland. When you go in, it's not just Disneyland, it's many different lands, all in one park. Many different realms for you to experience. You can go off into Adventureland, where you can be a pirate, or you can experience the jungles, or you can go into Tomorrowland, where you can see future technology and feel what it's like to live in a futuristic world. There's Frontierland, where you can experience life as an Indian or a cowboy. Sound familiar? So, I was also thinking about lots of stuff that I've been talking about on this channel. For example, the flat earth model, where you have Antarctic Antarctica is the ice ring around our current realm, and many of us have took it further, and we've been told there's a boundary, that Antarctica is this boundary, and we're not happy with boundaries. We're not happy with limitation, and so we've pushed our minds to wondering what lies beyond the boundary. And many of us have come to the same conclusion, that there must be other lands beyond the boundaries, other realms of ways of life that are vastly different from the one we live in. That if we were to visit these other realms, we would have a whole other experience. That's why I thought of Disneyland. Have you ever watched a movie that was so provocative? Maybe provocative isn't a good word, but was so deep that it just left you speechless. That it brought up so many things to think about that you couldn't even focus on one topic. This show, Westworld, is like that, for me at least. It has me thinking about life, about this game that we all play. I mean, these people that enter into Westworld, they can be whoever they want to be. Like a choose your own adventure. Remember those little novels? You get to a page and it says, if you want to enter the forbidden cave, turn to page 90. If you'd rather play it safe and stay outside of the cave, turn to the next page. Are we not faced with those choices every day? Do we not come across people and situations, from grand choices to just the smallest of ones? And it's our free will that's been given to us to experience it, to make the choices that define what type of experience we have while we're here. I am not of a belief that I have been forced to experience this experience, that I've been forced somehow to come from a place of wherever I was beforehand to where I am now. Which leads me to another choice, which is I have chosen to partake. I have chosen to experience this. Now, how far does my choices go? Did I choose to look the way I look? Did I choose to have the ego and personality that I do? Or my shortcomings? You know, I have flashbacks. I've mentioned this before, of what you could call past experiences or past lives where I didn't quite look this way or sound this way or act this way. But I have, every now and then, I have glimpses of some other place, of some other world that's in my past. But it's in my past here. But in this show, Westworld, some of the robots, they have these flashbacks to a past timeline that they themselves have played other characters, but then they also have these flashes and glimpses of a coexisting reality. And that coexisting reality is the real world. And they don't understand it at first. And they're very confused and frightened by it. But the more they look into it, the more that real world helps them to understand why their current reality seems so out of place or so strange, or why some things just don't add up. I've run out of time. There's so much more to talk about. And I will be talking about a lot more. But I have to go to sleep now. So, thanks for watching.